Hello, my friends, and welcome. I'm here to do a bit of stitching, and I hope you'll join me. Today is Sunday, the 19th of July. We're still in 2026, even though it's rapidly disappearing. We're all trying to get through our projects as quickly as, well, not as quickly as possible, but as effectively as possible and enjoy them at the same time. I've now realized that I have about 12 full coverage pieces, most of them by Heaven and Earth Designs. And, I'm okay with that. I don't think that's a huge number, but to some people it's a mighty huge number. But I think once you're a seasoned stitcher, it's an acceptable amount. I think nowadays, if you just have the one, then you're probably in the minority, possibly. Although I do actually envy people who can still stick to having one full coverage piece. Finish it and then move on to the next one. But that person isn't me. Anyway, today I am going to be working on Vatican Sunset. This is, well, I wouldn't say my favourite piece, but it's up in my top 3 favourite pieces. It's a design by Thomas Kincade and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I am working this on 2/1 tent stitch. I'm using a pre-gridded fabric. This is called Even Weave for any new listeners. I know there are sometimes new listeners because they often come down to my comments box and say, what fabric are you using, and how are you doing this and how are you doing that? And I think, well, you know what, I don't always explain these things because I just take it for granted that I've done so many videos now that I've said it many times before. But there's always new viewers that pop into new videos, so for the sake of clarity, I'm just trying to go over the information again. So yeah, it's 25 count fabric, which means the holes are quite small, as you can see. You can get smaller than that. Don't be afraid. You do actually, it's not as scary as it looks. And this is I say this is my go-to fabric. This is what I use when I mostly start full coverage now. Depending on the brand too, if it's something like a kit, which I haven't started in a while, that comes with the paper chart and everything else, I generally use the fabric that comes with it because I feel like if I've paid for the fabric and it's okay, it's not too like scratchy and stiff, then I'm okay to just use that, and it's the right size and cut up and everything. So that is what I would go with. But generally, if I'm starting a downloaded version or a PDF or something like that, which I can put into my digital software, the Pattern Keeper, that's quite popular and common, then I would go to my obviously pre-gridded fabric that I have here. So that's really where I start when I begin something. Now this one I started in August last year, so it's almost a year ago now. My goodness, I can't believe it's gone that quickly. I really can't. I've really wanted to do a Thomas Kincade piece, and I still want to do one of his famous cottage landscapes that he has, but I kind of settled on this one because I love the contrast between the lights, the dark and the light, and I also just love the visual. I love landscapes, I love buildings. That is my thing. I've realized as I peel away the layers of my stitching likes and dislikes, I've come to a conclusion that I always seem to gravitate towards landscapes and buildings and things like that. So I've just accepted that as a natural part of my stitching development, my visual preferences. And yeah, so this is where I'm working at, and I'm up here on the top on this beautiful sky, which is gorgeously blended together. I think it's very well done, and it is I would say it's a not a regular version, but it's one that's been requested by somebody else, so it's kind of in between the mini and the regular version, so it's not too small and it's not too big. And there are many request to size pieces that you can get on the Heaven and Earth website, and if you don't want to do a mini and you don't want to do a regular, you can oftentimes find that somebody has requested a something in between and it's been made for sale on the website. So here is where I am. I'm plugging along the top. I will explain a little bit about how I'm working recently, because I'm really kind of a flitty person when it comes to technique. Or the method I use, I sometimes do columns, I sometimes do rows. I just kind of do whatever I fancy in any given session or in any given week. And and again, I tend to gravitate towards doing diagonals as well. So at the moment, I'm not into the diagonal on this particular piece. I have started some diagonals on other pieces. Again, yes, again, they say. I am the diagonal, forever starting and stopping kind of person. I assure you, I'm not the only one when it comes to starting and stopping techniques, or doing like 5 different methods in one particular piece on different areas of the canvas, which I find really amusing and actually really cool because it looks so cool. Yeah, so I haven't brought this one out for about a week, I'd say, or something like that. And we haven't had really, get into a little bit of what I've been up to recently. We haven't had a heat wave like the one that people have had down in the south of England, where it's been reaching crazy degrees, going up to like 36 degrees Celsius, way up in the 30s in Celsius. And I'm always thinking, oh my goodness, is it going to get that bad up here in Scotland? But it hasn't. But what it is it's warm and stuffy and muggy and, kind of sticky, all that kind of uncomfortable, not in the sense of heat coming down at you, but as we explained in my last video, most people don't have aircon in their homes in Scotland. It's just, people just laugh at you if you say you want to put aircon. A, because of the cost, and B, because it's generally frowned upon. So yeah, the fan is going, but it's just kind of blowing the sticky air around, the humidity around. And it's been uncomfortable enough that it's affecting my sleep quality. So I have been tired, and trying to get things done is what I've been doing in the last couple of weeks, or since I last did a video. I have been trying to survive, just trying to survive the heat. Not so much the heat, trying to survive just the muggy, yucky weather, But I mean, it has been warm, and we had some really nice days. I've been out and about as well with the nice weather, because you want to go out more if you can, if you're physically able. You do want to get out more with your family when the weather is, agreeable, because all too quickly the winter comes here and you find that you're not able to get outside quite as much, and it does actually affect your mood. I, in particular, am affected by, if I stay at home and I don't go out for a couple of days, even just a couple of days, I start to feel a little bit trapped. That's always been my psyche. That's always been how I feel when I'm locked inside, and I start to feel like I need to get out, just even for fresh air, even if it's just to walk around the block, something. And in the last couple of years, that has been impeded greatly by my sciatica, which I've been trying to manage for a couple of years. And I'm actually getting there a little bit better now, because I've started paying more attention to things that are affecting my sciatica. But it has really set me back. It set me back quite a bit. So there's been quite a lot of roller coaster emotions in the last couple of years, because of the fact that when I've had a lot of flare-ups, I've been unable to really get outside and go walking and stuff like that, because you just don't go and push through a lot of pain. You just don't. So yeah, you do kind of have to be careful with that nerve and try and keep it happy. And so, yeah, I'm finding that things are improving in that score for the time being anyway. It's an ongoing situation. And so, yeah, there is that. And also, I have been quite busy keeping myself busy. If I am inside, I keep myself quite busy with other crafts as well, and been doing a little bit of crochet and a little bit of knitting. And also, in the last couple of weeks, I have been working behind the scenes to update my Etsy shop, which has been needing quite a bit of attention, let me tell you. And I wanted to come back and say in the last couple of weeks that I have now stocked some really popular skull, kind of bookish, gothic themes. And I've also got my original artwork designs there again, because they proved to be quite popular last year. And this one on my fabric that you can see right here, I've decided to call him Napoleon. I think it's a fitting name. My husband said, "Why are you calling him Napoleon?" And I said, "Well, he's Napoleon Bonaparte." And well, he just groaned, of course, because I'm usually not very good with puns or jokes. My husband normally rolls his eyes at me, but yeah, I kind of like that one. So it was a cross between Napoleon Bonaparte, or I think the other one was Albert Spinstein. I can't even tell the joke properly. Anyway, this guy, I love him, and this is my version, and he's also in my Etsy shop at the moment. But anyway, getting back to the serious stuff just for a moment, because I do have quite a significant amount of traffic from my video to my Etsy shop. So it is a good idea, obviously, to update you guys that do go in and buy my needle minders, because I don't use Instagram really, and I don't use any other sort of methods to update anybody, and I don't think people actually read the descriptions in the Etsy shops or in the online shops. I think they just go in and look at the products. They don't actually read the announcements or anything like that. I found quite a few people go in and ask me questions that are clearly in the descriptions or whatever, which is fine. It's okay, but it's probably easier just to get updates onto a video when you actually do them. So anyway, I'm waffling again. So as part of the update, I have now included free UK delivery. So if you do purchase from the UK, basically what you see straight away, the price that you see, is the only thing you have to pay. And I've been wanting to do that for a while as well, but I've been kind of testing the market and logistics and this, that, and the other, and kind of getting used to how the way things work. Now that I'm fully, I've been running the shop for I think just over a year. I'm much more confident with how things work well for the customer and for myself. However, at the moment, I do have needle minders available for international stitchers. The bummer side is the US channels are paused for the moment because of things like tariff issues, and costs are rising again, and there's all sorts of things. I'm not going to go into the logistics of it here, but for the moment, I've decided to review that one again in a while. I want to see how things go. So thank you to my US pals for understanding, but there's, we just have to monitor it as we go. And I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone who leaves lovely reviews, and all the feedback recently that I've had. That's also well appreciated. So yeah, onwards and upwards. I remember talking about my shop a couple of months ago, or even a month ago, saying that I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep doing it. I'd lacked motivation, and so that's that. I think that's everything. I'll probably go now and come back and think, oh, I forgot to say X, but never mind, it can't be that important. So let's talk about my end of month video. This is something else I was thinking about. How am I going to continue with that? Because my end of month video was really just to update everybody on my progress. And some people are following my progress on different pieces, of course. Some of you like this piece, some of you like my newer pieces, some of you like my really older pieces that I probably should bring out a bit more often. So I'm thinking, if I only stitch on very few pieces, like say if I pick out 3, then is it worth doing an actual video update? You can let me know what you think. Do you mind when floss tubers have got less things to show and they just come on for say 15 minutes or something like that, and just have a quick little chat and update? Because that's fine. I mean, that's really doable. But I worry that if I come back with 3 pieces, they're going to say, oh God, is that all she's done? She's only done 3 projects this month. And I have had a message from someone that said to me, no, that's really good. We're just happy to hear from you, to hear you're okay, that you've got this, that you've got some stitching done. And even if you haven't got any stitching done, it's nice to come back and say, hey, I'm still alive. this is what I've been up to. This is what my plans or non-plans are. And sometimes it's okay just to do that, even if you haven't managed to get stitching. I have watched a few videos recently where people have said, I've hardly got any stitching done this month. And then they bring out all this loads of stitching that they've done. And you think, my God, but you have. You've done loads. You've done even more than me. So I actually find that really funny. And um, oh, I know I wanted to say it. It's just popped into my head again now. I wanted to thank everybody as well for the comments in my last video, which I've now remembered what it is. It's called Amelia in the Garden, and it was a story, and it was based on Greek mythology, or sort of ancient Greece, 14th century manuscript. And I've started a piece and I'm stitching it, and I really love it, but it is absolutely confetti nuts, confetti crazy, let me tell you. Only for the brave and the wise, and I'm definitely not wise, but I am brave, let's put it that way. And I started telling the story about the picture itself. And if I remember, I'll put a link here onto this screen. If you're interested in that and haven't seen it, you can click on that link and go and watch that. And I just found it fascinating that there was an actual story behind this manuscript. And I'm sure there are a lot of stories. Well, there are stories behind most of these illuminated 14th century, 15th century manuscripts. But this one captivated me. And when I saw that it was available, Artisy made it available as a cross-stitch pattern. Of course, I had to grab it. And I don't know if it's still free. I think it's free until August, but you have to sign up with Artisy's website to get it. And yeah, it's called Amelia in the Garden, and it's from artisy.com. So I really enjoyed telling that story, and I think a lot of you enjoyed that story also. And it just kind of made me think. I started doing that a couple of years ago. I did one video like that about Mary, Queen of Scots, and then I stopped doing them for whatever life reason came about. And I wasn't sure that it was appealing to a large enough audience. I thought, well, it's a lot of work to put together, to be honest. Much more so than just a chatting video, obviously. There's all the research and everything involved as well, which takes time. And how do you present the story and make sure you get the right details in? But I think I'm going to do another one because most people said that they loved it and they would like to see more. So I'm going to do another one. And I'm thinking about doing a little poll. This is just an idea. I don't know if this is going to work. You can tell me what you think. Of, say, 3 particular historical events or historical people. And so you can just, vote which one you'd like me to do a story on. And the one that gets the highest votes is the one that I will choose to go and research and come back and do a stitch with me with that particular story. Does that sound like something fun? I don't know. It just sounds like something different. Maybe just a little bit different, a little bit more interesting. So let me know what you think about that. If I decide not to do that, I'll just come back and do a Stitch With Me story anyway. I can't promise when I'm going to get that done. I might be able to do it some point during this coming week, towards the end of the week. Or it might take me a couple of days to get my notes together. And then I've got to sort out how to put it all together and everything. So yeah, that's something for me to look forward to as well. I also have a little bit of catch up to do with watching FlossTube videos, because there's been a lot of whip parades and things that I need to catch up on. And I feel like I'm lagging a little bit in certain areas. And because I've been busy with my Etsy shop and trying to, put some new stock, I've been busy taking photographs and all that stuff and doing listings, and haven't been watching as many videos, and obviously going out as well and doing things outside. Yeah, time, things just catch up with you sometimes, and you can get a little bit mentally exhausted. And once I'd finished doing a whole day of doing stuff, I was just so tired. I just lay on the bed and I thought, I cannot listen to another sentence. I cannot think another thought. I just stared at the wall And I just wanted to go to sleep. This is about like 8 p.m. or something. I just wanted to eat something and go to sleep. And I didn't want to think anymore about history or stitching or Etsy or, I don't know, family or cleaning or shopping. I didn't want to think about anything. And I think at that point is when your brain says to you, we are done. We are done. You just need to lie down and stare at the wall. Or maybe read a book. But I think even reading a book takes a bit of energy, takes a bit of concentration. And when you're really tired, you just, I don't know. I'm even lagging behind in reading my books. So I'm sure some of you know how that feels. But when it comes to the stitching, when you've got so many pieces, so many charts, you think, unless you've got focus ones, which I know people do have, and that's the sort of ones that they're focusing on, obviously, because that tells you what it is. When you don't have the spare time to get to the other ones, then they start to feel like they're lagging behind a bit. So, yeah, be interesting to see. I'd be interested to know if people keep focus pieces as permanent focus pieces, or do they swap around and say, okay, this week this is a focus piece, next week this is another focus piece. And I'm interested in also when people say, oh, here's a secondary focus piece, because I think that I could sit here and say, here's my third focus piece and my fourth and my fifth and my sixth. And if I do a rotation, well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Till you get down to your seventh or eighth or ninth. But I don't think I've ever really treated a focus piece as an actual focus. I think I call it a focus and I maybe give it a little bit more attention than the others, but I don't think it's justifiably a focus unless I'm stitching on it 90% of the time, which I can't do if I've got too many things on the go. So yeah, I don't know. My head is just ballooning with all my whips, and thankfully I'm not getting the urges to start anymore, which is a good thing. So, fingers crossed for me that doesn't happen, because it doesn't end well with me. When I have too many, I get really, really overwhelmed. And when I get overwhelmed, I end up doing nothing, and that's not good. And I'm always trying to, not lose my stitchy bug, because if I do that, then I'm not going to be here and I'm not going to be enjoying it either. So, yeah, there was a couple of days recently where I didn't do any stitching. That's because I was doing all the other stuff. So at the end of the day, guys, we've only got one pair of hands, we've only got one brain, there's only so much we can do. But anyway, I just wanted to come on and spend a little time chatting with you. That's really what this video is, the update, the chat, and just to say hello and how are you getting on. Let me know how you're getting on, because I really enjoy the feedback and everything. That's it basically. And I think I'm going to stop stitching and go and do something else, or just go and relax for a little while. Today is nice and bright, but it's not particularly hot, and it could turn either way. It could go dark and gloomy, or it could stay bright. You just never know. In Scotland, it has the 4 seasons in one day. But anyway, guys, I just want to say thanks ever so much again for spending a little bit of time with me. I don't want to make these videos too long, because I've noticed that in the past, if I make them too long, people drop off about halfway. So I'm not going to, do a whole 1 hour video. I think I'll just stick to the 30-ish minutes, and I think that's probably enough time. You don't want to listen to me any longer than that. Okay, folks, I'll chat to you soon, and I'll see you again, and hopefully I'll be back with another story, Stitch with me. So enjoy your stitching and take care. Bye for now.